Hey guys, this is Al again. I'm back at the shop. Want to do a little bit of tinkering on the Arnage. I've been doing a lot of reading over the last week. I'm trying to figure out why this car doesn't run with the fuel pump and I have to jump the fuel pump. It's been a very, very, very confusing situation for me. Everything that I've read, including the IETS, the Bentley workshop manual, the CD, would indicate that all the immobilization is done by the immobilizers. Nothing's being done by the alarm. So as you can see, the hazards are flashing. If I had the siren plugged in, the siren's over here, if I had it plugged in, it would be going off right now because the hood is open and the trunk is open. But that shouldn't prevent the car from starting. The inertia switch is right over here, and I'm focusing on that area right now because I think that this is where the problem is. I've pressed it a couple of times to see if I could get it to reset itself, but it's never helped. So I think at this point what we need to do is we need to test it. I have Vaughan with me. Vaughan is he's very good with electronics, and I'm going to have him basically do some diagnostics over here while we talk through it. I'm going to take the camera over and let him basically talk about it.
Most of these inertia switches are pretty generic. They're using lots of Fords and other European cars, and this one's actually nice enough to be labeled for us. So we have 3 pins. We have a common, we have a normally closed connection, and a normally open connection. So we're going to be looking for continuity between the 2 outer pins, so common and normally closed. I assume when it's open, it would send a signal to the computer that it's been tripped, maybe set a fault code, something like that. So we're just going to put our multimeter on our ohm check, put 1 pin on common, get it in there, and our normally closed connection, and we have infinite resistance. Now if I touch it to this normally open pin, we do have resistance. It makes no difference if we reset it. These switches can just fail. So
do you think the switch has failed?
Yes.
Okay.
So what we can do is, since we're almost positive the switch has failed, we can just bridge these 2 outer connections on the connector on here, which would energize the relay for the fuel pump.
Okay.
This is all low current. This doesn't actually run the fuel pump. This is probably just between the PCM and the fuel pump relay.
Okay.
So this would supply the relay with either a ground signal or a low current 12 volt on the coil side.
So we're just going to get a small jumper wire and
we're just going to bridge these 2 outer connections.
Okay.
Now we're not going to leave it like that. If we see that it does work, we will be replacing this faulty part.
Okay. Now I'm looking at this part. This part looks like it's a really generic part. I'm looking at the markings on it, and it says something like "made in the EEC," which, you know, is a European Economic Union. So I'm thinking that this part, or whenever it was designed and built, must have been like 30 or 40 years ago or something like that. So must be a really generic part. I'm going to suspect that it's going to be in multiple cars, and if we can get it going, I may actually just walk around and see if I have the same part in another car that I'm dismantling. So let's try to get the jumper wire. So I'm going to stop the camera right now so we can put together a wire and see if we can get this thing going without having the fuel pump jerry-rigged the way we are. All right, give me a second.
Okay, so all we have here is a little piece of 16 gauge wire, and we're just going to jump those 2 outer pins, normally closed and open, which should energize the fuel pump relay when the PCM commands. So there we have those 2 outer pins bridged. Now, from our testing, we should be able to turn the key on and try to start it, and the fuel pump should be energized by the computer as it normally would be.
So here are the wires. One of these is this one. It's the jumper wire that we're using on the positive terminal. So the way we deal with this, the way we get this car running right now, is we hook this up to one of the relays in the back, in the trunk of the car, and engage the fuel pump. So the fuel pump's running when we start the car, and that's how we've been doing it in the past. I'm just going to hook them to these to the rubber strip on the the boot seal, so that they're not touching anything. And we're going to try to start the car. So, door doesn't work.
I hear fuel.
You hear fuel?
Yep. Well, there we go.
Alright guys, so there you have it. If you guys can't start the car and you've checked everything and you know your car will start by jumping the fuel pump, then check the inertia switch because they can fail. And if they fail, you could be chasing your tail for weeks just like I did. So this is huge because now I know that the car can run on its own. I can start working on some of the other issues like the alarm and some of the other problems that I have. But this is a significant step.
So hey guys, following up from the diagnosis that we did at the shop, I'm back at the house now and I'm looking at my computer, and I can see that this inertia switch is used in a lot of cars. So it seems like it's a pretty generic part that's used in several cars. In this example, I'm actually looking at Worldpack, and I can see that the parts used in a 2000 Jaguar XJ8. However, they don't sell the part; they just have it listed in their inventory as a product that exists, but they don't have it in inventory. So I took a look on Amazon, and I can see that there are some parts that are similar. This is the switch that I actually removed from the car. You can see it's pretty much exactly the same switch. The part number is PBT-GF15, and it's called a first inertia switch. Here it looks like the mold is pretty old because it says made in the EEC. Here's the part that I just purchased. It's called first inertia switch. I don't know whether that's a generic name or a brand name, no idea. But it costs $19.99 including free shipping. I just picked it up from Amazon yesterday, so it should arrive on Thursday, and I should be able to plug it in and get it working. I think this is going to solve that problem. The next thing I need to tackle on that car is obviously getting the alarm, the key fobs to align to the alarm, so that the alarm doesn't just keep going off every single time I open the door. Right now, I have no means to disable the alarm. I've disconnected the siren, as I mentioned in the video, which stops it from screaming. But when you see the hazard lights going off every single time I go around the car, that's because the alarm's going off. So I need to get that taken care of. That may be a dealer-only thing or a Bentley specialist thing, because it does require, I think, a master check or the Bentley equivalent of the master check to get it going. I can't seem to be able to get that addressed with my scanner. And I also need to find a wheel. So the wheel on my car, the back driver's side wheel has got such a big gouge in it that it won't hold air at all. I can move the car with a flat tire, over very short distances at very slow speeds, but I can't drive the car, and I'd like to drive the car and shake it down. So that's really the update that I have right now. I did plug the OBD2 scanner back into the car, and I'm a little bit less concerned about overheating because I was looking at the OBD2 live data, and I could see that the temperature was right around 80 degrees Celsius, which is where it really should be for a car, of that era. So the temperature, as far as the computer is concerned, as far as the sensors are concerned, it's bang on. So maybe my infrared thermometer is off, or maybe I'm pointing it at a part of the car which is hotter than where the sensor reads. But if the sensor's reading that if the sensor's reading correctly, then I'm less concerned about it. So for me, this is a huge achievement because the car really was effectively disabled. It couldn't really drive the car, and I couldn't really solve the problem by running a jump wire across one of the fuse boards from the fuel pump. That's just not a viable solution. So this is a massive problem that I was facing that's been solved. So I'm really happy about that. I'm also happy to share that information with anyone who's running into the same issue. You know, you now effectively know how to diagnose a faulty inertia switch and how to test it. And you also have a part number that you could use for an inexpensive replacement to that inertia switch. So hopefully anybody else who's running into this issue will save some money by looking at this video. And if you feel like that you've gained some benefit by watching this video, please subscribe so that you can continue to watch for updates. I guarantee you that there's going to be more problems with this car, so continue to watch, and I hope to continue to pass on information. Thanks very much, and I'll give you an update by the end of this week by when these parts arrive. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.